I don't think you necessarily need to beat a game to review it.
Hey, shut up.
We talked about that
Hey, don't say that. Don't say that. Even though I'm pretty sure we talked about that on a previous
we did.
Morning Source Gaming.
I feel like you get to a certain point where you get what the game is, and maybe you're not getting the. It really depends. A, if it's a story-driven game, you know, and B, if you're really missing out on a lot of content. But sometimes you just kind of get it.
Oh man, I still had the audio going on the stream. I didn't mute it yet because I opened it for chat, and literally it unmuted right when you said that, Spazzy. The whole thing was on stream.
I figured it would be on stream. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I do not hide or shy away from my opinions.
Your shenanigans.
I forgot.
You know what? When I reviewed Blaster Master Zero, I had played like 8 hours of that game, but I had not quite beaten it, and I gave it a great review. And then later I beat it, and my review didn't change. But you know what? If it had changed, I would have said something.
Okay, well, hello everybody.
The game's really good. The third one coming out, it looks so good, guys.
Welcome to a Good Morning Source Gaming, the first one in a long while where it's actually morning for everyone on the panel. Because last time it was we had Nan and we had Transparency on, and they live in Europe, so it was just the fucking afternoon for them.
Source Gaming Afternoon, I like it.
Yeah, Source Gaming Afternoon, weeknights on NBC. But yeah, we are here. We are happy to be here. And it is me. It is a Shadow Link. It is Spazzy. It is our special guest, returning guest champion. Because I'm pretty sure by now he's our most recurring guest.
It's my third time.
Yeah, I think you might actually be the most recurring guest, unless Push counts.
Cool.
I don't.
Push has a staff icon. I don't think he counts.
Yeah, I don't think he counts as a recurring guest. So there you go.
Not really. Yeah,
he's like not on staff and on staff at the exact same time.
Yeah, he's sort of he's like when you like
stay on SNL.
No, I was gonna say he's kind of like when you subscribe to like Humble Choice and you never cancel and you just kind of forget about it, but you're like, oh, I guess I'm still a member of Humble Choice.
I was gonna say,
That's me.
Yeah.
It's like when old cast members from Saturday Night Live come back to play a political figure, and then they're just there
Oh yeah, they are.
all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, you're no longer on SNL, are you? Maya Rudolph.
Maya Rudolph, yeah.
Yeah. You have more time than anybody else on the show, but you're not part of the cast, right?
All right, Bill Hader. Like, we get it. Like, you go back to filming Barry. Damn. So,
anyways,
let's talk about, let's do the thing that we always do at the beginning of all of these, which is what is this? Am I most recurring if you count the Pokemon streams? That's a good question.
I think we were talking.
Yeah, we're just talking about Good Morning Source Gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Leo. You're still the most reoccurring live stream guest overall.
Yeah, in our hearts too.
In our hearts, in our hearts, and our stomachs. Don't read into that. But we didn't.
Oh no.
We're gonna do the thing where we're like, what did we play this week? It's a good thing we didn't have a Good Morning Source Gaming last week, because all I would have said was, I'm blind. I had the eye surgery and it went swimmingly, and now I'm pretty much mostly okay. Just my eye is still healing a little bit, so it's a little blurry. But like not in a way that is like an impedance. It's just like it's like my right eye is an Xbox One and my left eye is a Switch. It's just like a lower resolution. That's just how it be. That's how it do. But let's start with Spazzy. What have you been playing this week?
I've been playing the SNK collection on the Switch. The not
40th?
like the fighting game. Not the fighting game collection,
Yeah.
the SNK arcade collection. So it's
okay.
Mostly a bunch of shumps, and also some Akari warriors and stuff like that. And one game in particular that I don't know if I should mention right now, because I'm going to be recording something about it for Source Gaming pretty soon.
Ooh.
But it's on the collection and it's an RPG, so you can already figure it out.
Oh, well, there we go.
Okay.
Pretty easy.
Okay.
Also, Psycho Soldier's on there, and the SNK arcade collection is actually really nice because you can switch on different games. It gives you the option of switching regions to play the different regions of the games, and then also playing either console or arcade for a lot of them. So you get to play like a lot of different versions of the same game. So you get to kind of have a nice feel for it. It's a pretty good collection. Actually, I did a review on it a while back, and I said exactly that. Pretty good collection.
Oh, Haitani asked, docked or undocked, which I guess is referring to my comment about my right eye or my left eye being a Switch.
Oh.
Actually, I feel like saying, considering my fucking visibility, I would say my right eye is like a docked Switch and my left eye is like a handheld Switch. It's slightly blurrier.
And I started because I got it for free with Games with Gold. And then I also got it for free on PC from probably Epic Game Store, the Jurassic World Evolution game.
Ooh.
And I like Jurassic Park Operation Genesis a lot, and it's pretty much the same shit. So
yeah. I feel like that's the entire marketing campaign for that game is like, hey, remember Operation Genesis?
Yeah, you like this game? Here's some more of it. It's not quite as good in some ways.
Yeah.
But there's more of it. But there sure is more of it.
I'll get my answer out of the way because it's super boring. I just played more Clone Hero. I don't know what it is. Clone Hero is like the one game I could repeatedly play during the eye healing process because it's not very visually intensive. It's just Guitar Hero. Like, cool, great. All I gotta do is look at the bottom of the screen. Like, that's all I need. But I also booted up and played a little bit of everyone's favorite video game, Fallout 76, and man, that game just gets better with every update. It's kind of incredible. It's kind of nutty how how even though that game is supposed to be like scorched earth, like the worst thing to ever be made by humans, they really swung it around, and now it's like a really handsome video game.
I don't believe you.
Well, it's on Game Pass. It is on Game Pass for the world to see, for the world to look at.
I guess I could theoretically play it.
For the world to give a whirl. And then I also got peer pressured. I got cyberbullied into buying Black Ops Cold War, a game that is, surprise, still not very good. But the zombies content, however, is very good. So
Same old.
Yeah, I guess that's the saving grace is the zombies mode yet again, because the multiplayer absolutely fucking sucks. I hate the multiplayer of Black Ops Cold War. It's so bad. But the zombies mode, they just actually released a new mode called Outbreak, where it's really funny. So when Modern Warfare 2019 released, they had a mode called Spec Ops, which is like a co-op mode. And it was a very weird, like, rushed, like, there's no way they ever actually intended for this to be in the game, but they needed to put some extra stuff in the game, so here it is. And effectively what Spec Ops was they took a chunk of the map that eventually became the map they used in the Warzone Battle Royale game mode. And you just had, like, you and 3 friends just ran around doing random objectives while enemies would spawn, and you shoot them, and yeah, it's Call of Duty. And Outbreak is the same thing, where they just have these, like, big, empty maps full of just, like, stuff, and you have to go do objectives while zombies spawn all around you, and you shoot them. And there is no goddamn way those maps aren't going to be used in some sort of future Battle Royale mode, because there is no way a game company put that much effort into these maps that have nothing in them. It's like you're not fooling anyone. This is well. So I guess we'll see how that pans out. But yeah, Outbreak, good. So I guess there you go. Spend $40 on a single game mode, and be happy. PizzaDudeManGuy, what have you been playing this week, our special guest?
Well, after like several years of asking, I finally got into, like, back in October, I got into Final Fantasy XIV at the request of my friend.
Don't do it.
Oh my god!
And I've been obsessed ever since.
MMOs, man, they suck you in.
Well, gosh, I've never gotten into MMOs before. I tried World of Warcraft when I was in high school, and I just couldn't get into it. And so I was like, okay, whatever. I guess MMOs just aren't my thing. And my friend was the same way, and he's like, no, you've got to do Final Fantasy. It's so good. I'm like, okay. And finally I tried it, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so good. And I mean, I've gone from doing all the story content to now I'm going to get every single class to level 80, and I'm almost done now. So that's the main thing I've been doing. Besides that, this last week, my wife and I finally started playing Age of Calamity. We've been waiting to do that co-op, but I was doing Final Fantasy, she was doing Nier Automata, so we're finally now getting to Age of Calamity. And
how's that frame rate?
For Age of Calamity, it's fine until she uses Urbosa's lightning.
Yeah, any like particle effects or like light sources kind of tank the game. Like,
I have a different experience, and I wrote it in my review that I did for the site. That game ran in slow motion for me because I'd played the entire game in co-op.
Okay.
I don't know how many people did that. I know you're playing it with your wife, you said. Like, that slows it down so much. Like it feels like a feature. Like it's purposefully slowing all your big attacks down. That's how it felt. Like it was so consistently choppy. It was fun though, so I didn't really mind too much. But
it slows down in co-op, or
yeah, it gets the frame rate drops.
From my experience, it just drops frames. It didn't feel slower, but maybe it was just dropping frames so much I didn't
So much.
notice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I meant. That's what I meant. Yeah, I didn't mean there was like literal slowdown. I meant
yeah,
that
because like
it
in
felt slow
some
because of the
games,
frames. Yeah, yeah.
in some games, like the game speed is tied to the frame rate. That's why Breath of the Wild at launch froze whenever you launched a Moblin. It had a chance to just freeze because the frame rate dropped to 0.
Oof.
Nice.
Nice.
I also played Fire Emblem Three Houses again because I actually had some time where I was a passenger in a car, which is rare for me, and so I was like, oh, I guess I'll play some Fire Emblem again. So that's it. That's everything I've played.
There it is. That's every video game that you've ever
Ever.
played ever. Just
Final Fantasy, and Fire Emblem will take all your time anyway. So
that and Scarescraper, Luigi's Mansion 3, which
that's right.
we should like it's been half a year. We should stream it again.
There
This game mode that I absolutely adore, but I've only played like 6 times total, even though it's like the best thing Nintendo has ever done.
I think the only times I've played it is when I'm on stream with you guys.
And yet it's so fucking good.
It is really good. I like it a lot.
Oh, what'd you want to say? A Slink?
Age of Calamity. Unless you hate yourself, you might not want to go for 100%.
I'm probably not going to.
Yeah, don't.
I just, as a general rule, do not 100% things anymore.
No,
I recently last week got the epilogue in Hades, and I said that is enough for me. I've put like 90 hours into this game. I like it a lot.
So like Age of Calamity 100% is nowhere near as bad as the original game, or the re-release of the original game, or the re-release of the re-release of the original game. But like you have to grind for so many items, and the final missions in the game are all the rarest items, and that's I spent like at least 3 hours grinding for specifically Hinox guts, and I never want to do that ever again.
Someone in chat mentioned, I think I might be insensitive to frame drops. For me, neither Hyrule Warriors or P5S aren't that bad. Persona 5 Strikers is a really stable game.
Yeah, that game doesn't drop frames too much on Switch.
It's a fantastically done. Yeah, it's a fantastically done port.
Age of Calamity was pushed forward a year. It was supposed to come out this year. So they didn't quite get the period of time where it's usually reserved to optimize video games in game development. They had to just finish the game, because in the last year of game development, that's usually when most or all of the optimization takes place, and they lost that last year of development. So maybe it'll get better in a patch down the line, or maybe they just don't care anymore. I don't know. We'll see.
I think we'll see some gradual upgrades as the DLC is trickled out.
Yeah, that is true. Breath of the Wild like had a weird development.
Yeah.
And kind of pseudo restarted development like mid development because of having to cut so much from the game because it was no longer Wii U exclusive.
Right.
So the condition that game released in, while much better than the average open world game, was still it was the buggiest game Nintendo's ever released, to put it lightly. I still remember the Blood Moon.
Let's get right into the news. Moving on from
Don't
that.
worry, I didn't play anything.
Segways.
So
yeah, segways. What are they?
And how do they work?
Yeah, how do they work? So there was like a few conferences over the last couple of weeks. The last week we had the PlayStation State of Play and the Pokemon Presents. And then this week we had like a weird day where Sony was like, hey, here's a bunch of PSVR announcements. That was super
A
fucking
thing
weird.
that happened.
Yeah, it was kind of out of the blue and made me question why none of those games were at the state of play.
Yeah, there's that state of play. There were
Yeah,
a lot of questions surrounding that state of play and what they were trying to do with it.
It's very funny because we were overly very positive about the Nintendo Direct, and that's because we're a bunch of stinky, dirty Nintendo fanboys.
Absolutely.
But yeah, guaranteed.
It's very lucky that my microphone was really quiet for that stream.
I
thought it was great, man. If I get a new Mana game and a Ninja Gaiden collection, even though it's not the best versions of those games, I'm happy. I'm a simple man.
But anyways, yeah,
state of play.
Like, but man, yeah, like I've always said, like my sort of bar for like a decent like showcase of games is just like, you know, if like at least like 20% of what I'm seeing is like, ooh, I want that. Because not every game is going to appeal to me. Not every game is going to appeal to everyone. But it's a situation where it's like, if I get a lot out of it, then or at least just some out of it, then like it's good, whatever. I feel like my biggest issue with the state of play was just simply that they didn't really show anything. It was a bunch of it was a bunch of games. It was a bunch of games that we had already seen before, and that's fine. That part of it is I wasn't expecting like, bro, they're gonna reveal Killzone 4, but it's like what they showed of the games themselves, like what they showed of each game that they've already shown before, is like not a lot compared to what they've already shown. Like something like we finally saw gameplay of Kenna, except each segment was like 2 seconds long.
And there was gameplay in the reveal trailer.
Yeah, but it's like bullshotty, like uber polished, like trailer footage.
That was legit.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it's not like, it's still like 2 second like segments. It's not enough to really get like a grasp of an in the moment feeling of the game. And that's this
is what I like to compare it to. It's kind of like if you get you don't have a full trailer for a movie yet, but they've given you like a 30-second teaser, and then they give you a TV spot. The TV spot's not really, it's most of the same footage with a couple different scenes in it, but it's still not actually telling me anything. Like we're still waiting for context.
It's like how that first trailer for Destruction All-Stars also technically had gameplay of it, but there's no HUD. It's switching between different angles to like make what's going on screen look really cool, like the way a video game isn't played. And yeah, like it doesn't really give me a real good general grasp of like what 30 seconds of gameplay of that game is like.
There's a difference though. Like the Kena gameplay was all fairly realistic things that a video game could do, whereas something like was it the Killzone game that had a completely fake demo?
Yes,
that was entirely in first person and disguised as gameplay.
Yeah,
like in this day and age, you can't tell anymore. That's why they have to put game footage, not final or not real gameplay footage at the bottom of trailers that show fake stuff now.
And that's how we all know what is a Smash trailer.
Because even
no Splatoon 3 had it too.
That's true.
But like like when you compare it to something like how they handled other games in the state of play and in the direct, where they just have like full on 30-second gameplay clips and they're like demonstrating different aspects of the mechanics.
Most big game reveal trailers have 2-second clips that cut a lot.
Yeah, but this isn't
Look
a
at
reveal trailer. We already knew about the game. At this point, I just
Yeah.
want to see it.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
we needed more because
that's what I'm.
we already
that's
got
the
that
most-
wow moment of seeing it.
Most
give me some
game
more.
trailers do that. No More Heroes 3 just did that again.
Sure, and you know what I don't care about? The No More Heroes 3 trailer.
my
You might have
God.
liked it. I wanted something more substantial because everything in the original PlayStation reveal were kind of short, very cinematically cut trailers. They weren't cut in a way for having you experience what the game is. Even when it was gameplay, it was taken at an angle that wasn't conducive to how most people would play the game.
I think the difference is with overly cinematic,
actual gameplay
HUD-less,
demo.
like game
Yeah.
trailers is. Devil May Cry 5 is like an excellent example. There's no HUD in any of the trailers, and it's all short clips. But every single one of those trailers was accompanied with a demo that press could play, showing,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, this is the game. It's real.
There is still no like unedited 10-minute demos of a lot of Sony's upcoming games, and it's weird because it's been like a recurring, just like this bizarre thing they've done where like it seems like the press on one of their upcoming games is just completely like dead until 2 weeks before the game comes out, because like Destruction All Stars. Yeah,
I was gonna say, you know who did a good second info wave of their game was Resident Evil 8.
Yeah,
because they had another story trailer that gave you more of the story for people that wanted that, and then they actually had gameplay after that. And then the first trailer was enough because it did show the basics of the game, but now we have more substantial information. If you're going to show me more, especially when it hasn't been that long, it'd be different if it was like from one E3 to another when you haven't seen the game in so long and they've been making substantial changes, but they're still essentially it's essentially the same type of footage.
Hey,
that I think is why I wanted more.
I got a perfect example from the Direct and the State of Play. The way that they showed off Knockout City in the Direct, kind of bad. The way they showed Knockout City in the State of Play, really good. Because instead of just having a stupid kind of unrelated trailer and then just a bunch of like fast 2-second like, oh wow, like it's the gameplay but at a different angle and you don't like, what the fuck, it's just the game being played in short segments and they're talking about different mechanics.
I think they fucked up with the Direct trailer because people apparently cared more about the characters in the trailer than the actual game.
Yes. That was a more fun concept, even if it is like a dodgeball game, to have characters from different, with different art styles from different game genres that are, basically parodies of different game archetypes matching off in a game is fun. But then you see the aesthetic and it's Fortnite, which is fine. The mechanics look good. Fortnite's very popular. I get it. But you show one thing that seems more interesting and then go to that, and that is not good.
I was gonna say the trailer actually looked more interesting than the game to me. So.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's like drawn to what is it? Drawn Together, but with video game characters.
And then it wasn't. And then it wasn't. It was a cute dodgeball game.
Yeah.
And It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It looks fun.
Yeah.
It looked good in the State of Play. But yeah, it was like it was just like, wow, here's some stuff on Returnal. And they're still like, that game comes out this month, but they're still like teasing aspects of it. They still don't want to go in depth. Like, what was it? During the Game Awards, they were like, they had that weird fake out where they were like, you bet this is PT, right? Nah, it's like this weird thing in Returnal where there's a spooky house that you walk into. And
I think Returnal looks a lot better now that I've seen more gameplay of it. It looked pretty generic first, but I like the movement of it. Like I said, it reminds me a lot of Recore, which I think is kind of an underappreciated game that got better after a couple.
We were just talking about No More Heroes 3, and I just remembered there's a first-person horror game in it. They showed it in the trailer.
Oh, it's so badass. But yeah, it's like, oh yeah, didn't they also start the show off with like Crash 4 coming to PS5, and you're like, great, what? Okay, like, thanks.
Yeah,
Like, it's
that's and the thing is, that's kind of the problem, right? With I think especially with the Xbox Series, but also with the PS5.
oh, absolutely.
Like, what do you have to play on that's not already on another system?
Oh, Returnal
then,
got delayed. It comes out in September. No, wait, what? No, it's still April 30th. Okay, so it just got pushed back a month.
Can we talk about port exclusive DLC?
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay,
what's your example?
So they revealed a UFeed DLC for Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah, that was the big.
It looks exactly like Final Fantasy VII. Nothing special going on. The remake, I mean. But only on PS5. Okay, it doesn't look like it's anything more than what the original game could do, but fuck it, whatever.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
that announcement, that was obviously the biggest announcement of the show, was that Final Fantasy VII Remake was coming to PS5. I like, by the way, not a lot of people mention this, but this is fun. So Final Fantasy VII Remake is coming to PS5, and it's a free upgrade for pre-existing owners. However, they also put the game on PlayStation Plus, and if you get the game on PlayStation Plus, you gotta pay $70 fucking dollars for the PS5 version.
There's a tiny little disclaimer at the bottom of the PS Plus graphic where they announced Final Fantasy VII Remake was coming to it that says not eligible for PS5 free upgrade. And
First
it's just
off,
like, excuse me, fuck you.
First off, I just think that's like hot bullshit, the idea of like charging $10 more for what is effectively just a higher graphical setting, because I really doubt, like, knowing the way
you still have to pay for it.
Yeah, and you also still have to pay for the DLC. It doesn't come with the PS5 enhanced edition. It's still a separate download.
So a separate thing.
Yeah.
You know what game did it correctly?
What?
Devil May Cry 5 Special
I knew
Edition.
you were going to say that.
Go.
I knew it.
It's $40. It's less than the original game launched at, and it has the DLC, all of it, in the game.
You know what? Last of Us Remastered.
Nintendo does,
Last of Us Remastered did the same thing too. It was $40 and came with the Left Behind DLC.
I don't know. I don't mind paying full price for something again. I'm a Nintendo fan.
Yeah.
Chat,
the Yuffie DLC is exclusive to PS5.
You can still get the physical after claiming the PS Plus version to get the upgrade. Yeah, but it's like at that point, like, it kind of defeats the purpose of getting it on PS Plus at all, because you still have to spend money on a physical copy. Oh man, yeah. There's just something so kind of scummy about how Final Fantasy VII Remake is like $10 more for a game that like just launched. Now it's almost been a year, but still, like, it's still a fairly new release. And knowing the way games are made, there's no way, like, the new textures and the new environmental effects, it's no way they didn't have all this shit at the ready. They just couldn't get it running great on the PS4 maybe, and they just held back. Like, it's so weird. And then the Yuffie DLC doesn't really look like anything that really takes advantage of the PS5 hardware. Like, it's just why
they need
can't
to
this
drop
be on
the
the
pretense. They need to drop the pretenses of this being a remake too, because it's not. It
is a remake. It's a remake of the story. It's
literally the Star Trek reboot.
It's just like Evangelion Rebuild. They used Rebuild to describe the way that they were completely changing the story instead of just redoing it in a movie format.
I think it's actually probably more interesting to do it this way for me personally because I've already played Final Fantasy VII, but this is the way a lot of people are going to be experiencing the story for the first time, and it's with Yuffie being in Midgar in the way that she is, it already is a radical departure. Not to mention all the weird shit that happened at the end of the game, which I own, but I still have not played. I bought it a Black Friday. I need to.
Yeah. So we talked about this like a long time ago on an old Good Morning Source Gaming, but Final Fantasy VII is one of those games that looks poopy and bad. So people are like, I'm waiting for the remake to play it, and it's just like they're not getting Final Fantasy VII anymore with that remake. There comes a point in that game where it departs so much, not just like adds new stuff or changes some things around, where it just becomes its own thing and is clearly signaling that it's not going to be the same story or game from then on out, that it's like no possible way you're going to get the same experience with that.
Yeah, which is fine. It can be a cool, you
have the
experience.
compilation of Final Fantasy VII for that shit. And guess what? They said that they were done doing compilation stuff, and then immediately after Final Fantasy VII Remake came out, they were like, yeah, this is part of the compilation of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. And then they announced a demake of the remake for mobile.
No.
Oh, is that...
No, so... Okay, so the way they're advertising it is either on point or completely deceptive. What I think the Ever Crisis game is going to be is just short vignettes of very important points in the story with gotcha boss battles.
Oh.
And that is probably what it is. And that is incredibly boring.
Yes, that does not sound fun. I wanted a chibi-fied remake. I think that's what most people wanted when they saw that.
Yeah. They also announced Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale, which is a prequel, which is the funniest fucking thing. I was showing that to a friend of mine who's like a huge Final Fantasy fan, and his initial reaction was, what the fuck? And then he laughed, and then he said, you know what? If they put it on Switch, I'll play it.
Every single Final Fantasy VII fan that I know who still liked Remake, even though it was a departure, fucking hated the new Yuffie trailer, because at the end of the trailer, they showed the motherfucker from Dirge of Cerberus, which is a game no one likes. And that's just the funniest thing in the world to me. Like, you went out of your way to defend this remake, and then now it's crushing your hopes and dreams.
I think that's fine. I think you can have something that maybe didn't work initially, but you can still take elements from that and have
it work you could, but he wasn't there at all in the original, and they're putting him in there, and nobody liked him.
They're doing a lot of that, aren't they? They're changing so much anyway.
Yeah.
Why not?
The second game is going to star Zack as the protagonist, and then the third remake game is going to have Sephiroth as the protagonist. I'm calling it right here.
Sephiroth joins the party. There we go.
Cloud Antifa die.
Whoa.
What just happened?
But so the weird, so then like a week later, they did like a bunch of PSVR announcements, and man, like the way they've been handling like PSVR lately is, I don't know, I don't like it. Granted, I'm one of those people who actually owns a PSVR headset and really enjoy the platform. But I think it's really disheartening to see them kind of say shit about like instead of actually like pushing any of this stuff, they're just saying, they just do go like, oh, they just make a blog post. They're like, oh yeah, there's new hardware coming eventually. We're working on it. Don't worry, fellas. Or they just what?
I said most people don't really care too much about the VR. I know you love it. they seem to be distancing themselves a little from it, right? It seems weird.
Yeah, well, that's my issue. Like, I know, I get it. I know there's like people that were like really mad and like, why are they putting VR games in the state of play? But it's like, it's their platform. They want to push it. It's like the best-selling VR headset. You know, hey, you should advertise it. You shouldn't have to make people search out this information. It should be
it's kind
available.
of like when Xbox went the other way with Kinect and bundle it in with all of the Xbox Ones. You don't need to you need to make iterative movements on your proprietary technology, your hardware, really. I feel like more video game companies need to do that. There needs to be a new VR headset.
Honestly, and it sucks too, because I actually think Sony is in a situation where if they really wanted to, they could like make a ton of money on that VR headset. Like because surprise, you can plug that shit into a PC and it just kind of works especially with like a third party driver. And it's a situation where, like, if Sony released an official driver for PC so you could use a PSVR headset on a PS4 and PC, like, wow, that'd be a lot of money that they could make, because, you know, it's affordable, it's built really well, it work. And ultimately, that's what I, like, it sucks, because not only are they holding off like releasing this headset, but that also means that they're holding off on PS5 VR software, because apparently no developers are allowed to release like PS5 VR games yet. Like, you can do PS5 enhanced PS4 games, but you can't do, like, you know, that's why Hitman 3, for example, doesn't have the VR mode on PS5, but if you want to play the VR mode for Hitman 3, you gotta play the PS4 version on your PS5. It's ridiculous. It's silly. But then, I think it was Monday, they spent half a day showing off 6 games that are coming to PSVR. The first one is Doom 3 VR, which is the most interesting one of the bunch, because it's not only is it a game that most people are predisposed to already liking, but it's also a game that was supposed to have VR mode in the BFG edition, and it seems like they're actually making like a full official version of it. And I'm really stoked. I think that game might, honestly, I think like that VR version of Doom 3 might genuinely be the definitive version of Doom 3, because Doom 3 is a game that's already like fairly slow about like very claustrophobic corners, and like there's not like platforming or like any sort of like crazy movement shit you have to do. Like, it's basically just a survival horror first person shooter. So it really adapts to being a VR game really well. And it's going to be really fucking fun to be able to like run around and blast imps with like the machine gun in VR. That, like, I'm really looking forward to it. I'll probably stream it when it comes out.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah. It is. The Doom 3 shotgun will finally be good, because everyone jokes, oh yeah, it's only good when you hold it up to like the head of a demon. Now you'll be able to actually do that, like reach your arm out and pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Like your Ash from The Evil Dead, and it's going to be fucking cool. And that's the other thing too, is like all the expansion packs are being put in VR too. So Resurrection of Evil and the Lost missions are getting VRified, and like apparently they're like redoing textures and like shaders and stuff. It kind of looks like what they're doing is like bringing back the original darker atmosphere of the original Doom 3, but still keeping in the quality of life improvements, like having a flashlight on your gun, like in the BFG edition. So, yeah, I genuinely think it might actually be, like, the best way to play Doom 3, and will actually, like, kind of elevate that game to being a lot better. I'm genuinely really stoked for it.
Being good?
Yeah, exactly. Being awesome, being excellent. And then the other games they showed off, I Expect You to Die 2, which is like a sequel to a spy puzzle game, and it looks cute. It looks fun. I've heard a lot of really good things about the first one, so it's cool to see them doing a second one. There's a new survival game from the developers of Galax Z called Song in the Smoke, which they didn't show off too much of, but what they have shown looks pretty. This one's kind of shenanigans. They have a game called Fracked, and this is some hot bullshit, because you know how like usually when they announce a game they'll put like the Twitter, like they'll put the trailer on the Twitter post. Fracked has a teaser trailer, not a full trailer, but they also didn't even do that. They did like they did this fucking like 2 seconds of a guy running in first person, which is really awful. It's like not like what are you supposed to get from this? And then you click on the blog post and you read it, and the game sounds absolutely badass. It's supposed to be like a Die Hard at a ski lodge, so it's both a shooter and a skiing simulation game.
Oh, that sounds pretty awesome.
It sounds really fucking cool. It's like,
is there snowboarding in it? Because every great game has to have a snowboarding segment.
It might. Here's the blog post, I guess. It looks there's like little GIFs and stuff of the game in action, and like it's so much better than the 2 seconds of man running down a hallway like in the clip shown on Twitter. I really do not get it, but yeah, this is like, I mean, at this point, it's kind of a shame to say like, yeah, you know, like all the good VR games are shooters, but at the same time, I mean, they are a really great demonstration of all the stuff you can do.
Well, yeah, I mean, the shooters are already so, you know, in most cases predisposed to first person that they just translate so well to VR.
Yeah, exactly. It looks really fucking rad. I can't wait to try it out. Yeah, like they should have showed this game in the state of play, because it's like a whole new video game.
Sony needs to work on the one thing Nintendo's really good at, even when you don't like the content, is their presentation is it's so fast and so snappy and so on point. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
They get right to it. They've really gotten, I mean, they were the first ones to do these sort of digital presentations, and it shows. They know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. And then the other 2 games they showed, one of them was a virtual reality MMO. Like, all right, okay. Let me look up the name of it. It was the one announcement that just like my brain immediately was like, yeah, I don't know about that one. Yeah, it's called Zenith. See how the team behind this JRPG inspired MMO crafted this expansive and colorful new world. Like, it looks nice, but I don't know if I'm ready to like play an MMO in VR.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
But it looks fairly nice. It looks, combat looks a little clunky, but that's because like it's really hard to make like raw VR footage look good. And then the last game they announced was After the Fall, which is like a 4-player co-op game, which is made by the people who made Arizona Sunshine, and cool. But yeah, like Doom 3 Doom 3, I wanted to say VFR, but yeah, Doom 3 VR and Fracked sounds they look so fucking cool. And they sound so fucking neato. And I'm really stoked to play those. And then like compared to the state of play, where it's like, well, there's a few games I was already like interested in getting, but they didn't really show me more of those games. Like they almost might as well have not done a state of play, or just dropped all those trailers on Twitter in the same way, where they just like, here's the new Kena trailer, here's the new Deathloop trailer, here's this new game called Sufi. By the way, Deathloop was the best game at the state of play yet again. Yet again, it had the best trailer.
Yeah, like there were so many games there that it's not that and that's something I want to point out. It's not that I didn't like the games they showed at the state of play. It's just that I'd already seen them in that form. So they're already games that I wanted to play that I saw slightly more of. Like I said before when we were live reacting, I'm like, show me that stupid cat robot game. I want to know more about that one.
Yeah.
Show me about the games that I didn't know anything about.
Yeah, it was kind of rough.
Yeah.
And now to totally to go from one pot of hot water to another pot of hot water, then there was the Pokemon Presents.
Pokemon!
I'm not a Pokemon guy. I've never played a Pokemon game. I thought it looked pretty good.
So.
Oh yeah,
yeah. We got two extremes here. I don't know anything about Pokemon, but I thought what they showed looked pretty good.
I know. We got a comment on our live stream and it's like, I thought you guys were less cynical before, and I'm just like, listen. Those remakes look like garbage.
Here's the dealio. If you want to talk about cynicism, you should meet the Pokemon fandom. Everyone like at this point, I am fully convinced there is not a single fucking thing the Pokemon company can do, and people will actually be happy about it. And that's not to say, like, oh, you guys are like entitled babies and the games actually look really good. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But like, when we were doing that stream, most people in chat were like, ugh, can't wait for Game Freak to disappoint me again. Like,
I noticed that pattern very, very recently. So I actually defended Sword and Shield while it was being like shit on, because I'm like, you guys don't know what it takes to make a game. These don't really look that bad, and they don't need to have every Pokemon. And it's like, I just noticed they'll complain. They'll find something to complain about with everything.
Yeah.
Like even the new Pokemon Snap. People are like, make a new Pokemon Snap. I really want a new Pokemon Snap. People are like, ugh, why does this game look so much better than Pokemon Sword and Shield?
Here's the deal.
Because it's newer?
Here's the deal with BDSP, and here's the deal with Pokemon Legends, and how they look the way they do, and why the way they look they do. They did that for you. You can't say the Pokemon Company and Game Freak don't listen to feedback. They absolutely do.
Like, and if, overwhelmingly, when Sword and Shield was happening, I heard so many people be like, make Breath of the Wild. Just do Breath of the Wild, but Pokemon.
Because,
they fucking did it.
Yeah, they fucking did it. Because here's the
deal.
You
hate it.
Here's the deal.
I haven't heard too many complaints about the Legends Arceus. Are there like a lot of complaints?
There's
about
a lot. Because it looks like shit. Oh,
Here,
the resolution's so low, the frame rate's terrible. This game looks boring. It's empty. There's nothing there.
Oh my god!
Such early footage.
Yeah,
that's way too much.
Here, let me. I'll put it this way. Here's the best way to put it, because here's how I see it. BDSP's art style is safe. It is safe. That is the best way to describe it. It is safe. They clearly said, all right, just make it look like the DS game with a higher poly count.
I am pretty sure that what happened was they were making a Diamond and Pearl remake, and they're like, no, we want to do something different. We want to wildly branch out. And that's why we have these feudal Sinnoh games, and why they're even Sinnoh games to begin with. That's being made by Game Freak. But then they're like, people still want Diamond and Pearl remakes. Let's have somebody do a very faithful 1-to-1 Diamond and Pearl remake because people complained about Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire being too different.
Right, and so you're getting both. Then you're getting a faithful remake, and you're getting a new experience.
And in regards to the art style, it's like in a perfect world, honestly, it would have looked like Let's Go, because I think Let's Go is the best looking Pokemon game. But no, let me continue. They are not gonna make it look like Let's Go, because everyone would immediately go, "Oh, they made Let's Go Sinnoh. They made another casual game."
You know about that? I've seen
a
bunch of
people have been saying that.
Now they're going, oh, Let's Go looks so much better.
Yeah.
And it's like, when it came out, it's like, why does it look like a fucking 3DS game?
They absolutely were not going to make those remakes look like Sword and Shield. People think Sword and Shield is the devil. So there is no fucking way they were going to make those games look like Sword and Shield. And then I see people saying, "Oh, but Link's Awakening, where the fuck were you guys? People complained about how Link's Awakening DX looked until the game launched."
Just Link's Awakening. The Switch version is just called Link's Awakening.
Oh, okay.
DX is the version.
I'm just saying it to differentiate it. But
Link's Awakening Switch.
Link's Awakening Switch. I'm sorry.
Even I complained about how it looked I played it. Until I played it.
And on top of that, it's like perfect. On top of that, it's like people complain about them evolving the Pokemon art style. Why in the absolute fuck would they bother going in a completely radical direction? People even bitched about how Mystery Dungeon looked.
Okay, so hi Tani, I think that's how you say that in the chat. Pointed out something very interesting, and I want to talk about that for a moment. So while the 3DS games were happening, people were emulating them at higher resolutions. So the 3DS games all have like outlines on all of their character models, but they would break at higher resolutions. So the emulation community made a code to turn that off. And then a bunch of people were like, wow, these games look so much better without the outlines. And so they're like, get rid of the outlines, Game Freak. And then they got rid of the outlines for Let's Go. And it's like, wow, these look like fucking clay. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah. It is a situation, and
now people want the outlines back for the Diamond and Pearl remakes.
And then with Pokemon Legends, all I can say about how that game looks is you knew Game Freak is still just getting into HD development. You saw Sword and Shield. You complained about how Sword and Shield looked. What makes you think that them making a bigger, more expansive, and more technically demanding game is gonna, like, immediately, like, result in a better experience? Now, that being said, let me at least say that I am not saying that this is completely 100% acceptable. I'm not trying to come from the angle of, like, you should be glad that we're even getting this game in the first place. Right. Because there are plenty of games, because the Switch hardware is no slouch. There's a lot of games that look absolutely 300 times better than Game Freak's output.
I thought they looked pretty good as not a Pokemon fan.
During the live stream, they looked fine, but looking back on footage, the frame rate's pretty inconsistent and the resolution's really low. And I was talking about that with some friends, and they pointed out to me that Sword and Shield also had a really bad frame rate when it was first revealed.
Yeah.
So they'll fix it.
I think it's
exactly.
I think it's too early to like judge on that when people are jumping on that.
Game Freak usually makes these games. They pump them out. They make them quicker than they should. And so we'll see a rapid development of the way this game looks over the next year until it comes out.
But yeah, generally speaking, it's like the problem with talking about Pokemon is Pokemon fans. Like, that's just straight up it. Like, I can't say anything about these fucking games.
Oh, and also there's people like scapegoating Game Freak, Junichi Masuda, and it's just like, guys, they want to make the best game they can. The Pokemon Company is the person is the one responsible for them having to do a yearly game because they have this huge multimedia franchise plan
Right.
that they cannot interrupt.
Yeah, everything's got to coincide with the cards and the TV show, and yeah.
Yeah.
What I was going to say was, with the fans and the complaints, I think which is one of the problems you have is how huge of a franchise Pokemon is. You do have the anime and the cards and the games, and so you have just a massive fandom. And so because of that, because you have such a huge fandom, you have so many different varying opinions about what should be done.
In a lot of ways, Pokemon fans are a lot like Sonic fans. Like, there's just so many, and all. No, hear me out. Like, there's so many, and they all have different like tastes and what like era and such. Like, I said it before. People like to meme on the Gen 1ers, but let's be real. Every Pokemon fan is a Gen 1er, just with a different generation. And,
fair enough.
The problem is all of these fans think there's like just been this like steady decline in the quality of the series. And here we go. Unlike the Sonic franchise, of all the mainline Pokemon games, I don't think there's a single bad one.
No,
like from a casual standpoint, similar, there's not a bad one. I think like X and Y is pretty boring, but like if you're not if you don't know what a Nuzlocke challenge is, like you don't give a shit. It's fine. It's Pokemon.
Like, so the thing is, people just started to notice now that these games are kind of not super high quality graphics and whatever, because before they could kind of hide that behind their pixel art, but now going into 3D, ever since they went into 3D, they're like, wow, these games look really bad and cheap and stuff. And it's just like, guys, they've kind of always been behind the times. You're just now noticing it.
I was talking to some people last night who were saying that even when Diamond Pearl were released, people were like, why aren't they in 3D? Metroid Prime Hunters is in 3D. Mario 64 DS is in 3D. Why'd they still use sprites?
Yeah. Now people are like, why can't they use sprites again? They looked so much better. It's just like, okay, listen. The common complaint from Pokemon fans is that the Pokemon do not animate enough in battle. So now you want the Pokemon to go back to being sprites who didn't animate at all in battles. Okay, all right.
Well, yeah, I think that gets to that varying opinions thing. Like, I don't know, with the Diamond and Pearl remakes, I mean, they look fine. They're faithful adaptations, but I was kind of like, as someone who already played Diamond and Pearl, I'm not really super excited about them because it feels like the same experience. Whereas I had a lot of fun with Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire because it's like, ooh, it's Ruby and Sapphire, but this is new and that's new and this is new. And then I found out, because I was blissfully unaware, I found out a lot of people didn't like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I'm like, oh, really? I thought they were great.
I think people are just kind of generally fucking weird about the things they like and dislike about Pokemon. I'm not exactly like a major Pokemon fan. I play like every other game and then take like a 5-year break. Just because I can't do that. But like I've never understood when people are like, bros, Gen 1 is so bad. It's so simple and it's so like basic. And it's like, yeah, that game is for like 6-year-olds, you know? Like it was like a Game Boy game for children. Like, of course it's simple. Like that's kind of the point. Like I never understood. It's like, I feel like whenever anyone talks about like at grand length like all this stuff, they're like, oh, this is let me tell you why black and white are the best one. It's like they're talking about the fucking plot of Kingdom Hearts. It's like they start going in all this like crazy shit, and I'm just like, I just like Lavender Town. I thought it looked cool. Like it's not.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know.
Just a fun thing. I just think it's neat.
It's like man, when I was a kid and there was like the first wave of like the Pokemon cards being big, we just thought they looked cool. No one knew actually how to play the card game. We just collected them and we were like, yo, that's badass.
Pokemon cards, and I'm like, oh, do you guys know how to play the game? No. Okay, I figured.
I mean, that shit sort of come back now that
giving away Pokemon cards with Happy Meals right now.
Yeah,
and I've heard many testimonials of adults going into McDonald's and being like, got Pokemon cards?
Can I get the Pokemon cards?
See, I've been an elementary school teacher for like 7 or 8 years now, and the Pokemon cards have always still been popular. I was student teaching in middle school before that, and Pokemon cards were still popular. It's just never not been popular.
God, I can't wait to be shit on in the comments. There's gonna be like one guy who's like, once again, Source Gaming does not know what they talk about, and it's like, guys, like I think that's really the only other thing I have to say about that Pokemon Presents, other than them saying anime like 30 times, which made me laugh, like every time they did it. The only thing I have to say is that Pokemon Legends like leaked. There was like a press release of the game leaked before the game was actually revealed in the Pokemon Presents. And all of the screenshots and the video from that leak look like way better than what they showed, because it showed like other mechanics than just running around and throwing a Pokeball.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, they actually animated the Pokemon fighting and doing their attacks now.
Yeah.
You think it looks bad though?
I don't know. I'm really excited for Legends Arceus. I'm super looking forward to that. And I've wanted a new Pokemon Snap for a long time. I'm very excited about that. Looking at the trailer for Pokemon Snap, it looks like it'll be fun. But I realized, one of the things that I don't think it'll have compared to the original Pokemon Snap is I don't think it'll have the same sense of humor. And that's fine, because it's like, I don't know how much, with the more realistic graphics, how much can you get away with, like, throwing pester balls at wild animals to intentionally, like, knock them out or mess up their lives. Probably not as acceptable these days. Or like things in the original Pokemon Snap where it's like, well, to advance to this area, you need to launch a Squirtle up to a mountain to knock down a Mankey so that then you can hit it in just the precise way to land on a switch to activate the secret passage. And you're like, Professor Oak, why did you build this environment in such a way to where I have to abuse these animals to advance these courses?
I think there might be stuff like that. They're just not like showing it. Maybe because like it
feels like the pester balls have been replaced with friendly balls that illuminate the Pokemon, and it's like, okay, that's fine.
But I guess we'll see. But in regards to the remakes in Pokemon Legends, I'm interested in the Diamond and Pearl remakes. I'm totally fine with how they look. As I said, I think they look safe. If anything, the art style has actually grown on me the more I've seen like screenshots of it. Like, someone was like, man, they look bad. And I'm like, they look fine. And they sent me a screenshot and they're like, what, this looks fine to you? And I'm just like, yeah. It's like, what do you want me to tell you? Like they were cherry picking like the chibi model of Dawn. And I'm just like, yeah, it looks fine. I'm not like, what do you want me to tell you?
Yeah,
it looks like chibi, and it's a nice looking chibi. So there we go.
The thing about those games, and I've said my piece about that on Twitter, is that they look fine, but they don't look good enough, in my opinion. They don't match the quality of everything else on the system, and it's like. And then I realized after making those messages, Pokemon has always been the worst looking first party Nintendo franchise on every system.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And then Pokemon Legends is definitely something I want to see more of. I'll probably it's too soon. It's like too early to really make a full kind of grasp on how I feel about the game. I think the concept is interesting, and I want to see more of it. It's a year away.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? Yeah. But yeah, that's all of like the official news, I guess, of
We're
the
gonna
last
talk
couple of
about.
weeks.
Are we gonna talk about the new Nintendo Switch?
No, we're gonna talk about the unofficial Nintendo news with the new Switch V3, Switch Pro, Switch Big Boy.
The new Nintendo Switch U, XL,
2DS,
Deluxe,
and Knuckles, featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry franchise.
with new funky mode.
So there's been rumors of a Switch Pro, I think literally since the Switch released.
Pretty sure.
Not
like
since
like
then,
right
but
out
like
the fucking
at
gate.
at least a year after that. But
Yeah.
at least since 2018, there's been rumors and rumblings about one.
And it's kind of funny because this is actually not the first time a article like this has come out where Nintendo pairs with another company to make new screens for the Switch. Because it was in 2019 they made a deal with Sharp to use their IGZO displays in the Switch. However, that never happened. But according to a new Bloomberg article that seems a bit more official, apparently they made a deal with Samsung to put some 7-inch OLED displays, 7-inch 720p OLED displays in a future Switch model, and apparently they're on track to start producing them in June. The displays that are, not the model. And that is really interesting. We've kind of talked on and off about these like Switch Pro rumors because let's be real, most of them are hot bullshit. Like
Right.
None of them are true. But it seems like recently we've been getting more and more kind of in-depth, in detail information about what this new model will potentially be. But then every now and then another insider will come out with some random information that kind of throws everyone off the track, and then we're at like square one again and we don't know what the fuck is going on. Here's what we know so far. And honestly, none of this has really changed since like November. There is a new Switch model in the works. It uses the same system on a chip as the Switch Lite and the Switch V2, which, if you know your Switches, they use a newer, smaller, more efficient chip than the original Switch model from 2017, which means that they are capable of being faster, and that's about it, really. And they just use less power. Also, they use new RAM. That's okay. There is a new chip being involved in this new system that is a Realtek SoC that it says is a 4K multimedia SoC. According to the way that it's described in the OS, it seems like it's being handled as a display out, so probably as a new dock, which makes sense because if they want to do 4K output on a new Switch model, they would have to make a new dock because the old dock is like HDMI 1.4 and not 2.0 and above, which actually handles 4K 60. And apparently, according to certain insiders, Nintendo has told developers to prepare for 4K, though I don't necessarily think that means that we're going to be seeing games running in 4K. I think they're just telling developers, like, hey, if you need to make sure like your UI elements scale properly, like now's the time to do it. And then yeah, it uses a new screen of some sorts. Could have been those, if you asked half a year ago, it would have been those IGZO displays. Now it seems like it's OLED displays, potentially with a smaller bezel. It'll just be a bigger screen on like a similar sized device. And it's apparently coming eventually. And that's really all we know so far. The only last bit of information is I guess I won't quote their name because they seem to get a little uppity whenever someone says something they said, and then they go like, well, I didn't say it that way. But some folks have been implying that this new model will have some kind of exclusive games to it to take advantage of the new power, although I do kind of call that into question, because if it's using the same SoC, just running at a higher clock, unless it's like a situation like Xenoblade, where it's like they just don't want the game running at like 15 FPS, they would rather run it at 30, they'll have like a exclusive title. But I don't like the at this point, with in regards to that, it feels like a bunch of insiders trying to play chicken on saying things they heard and then seeing if other insiders will say, yeah, I heard that too.
Could be. They did say they did imply that there would be a first party exclusive somewhere.
It's very
kind of concerning.
Yeah, it's very odd. There's also some claims that dev kits are already going out, but there's really
that's probably true.
There's not really a lot of information to back that. We do know Nintendo did make a new dev kit, but it was just to update the console to the specs of the V2 instead of using the original Switch SKU. So again, unless this new system uses the same hardware, and the OS has been data mining the OS has been the general source of information about upcoming Switch revisions. Like, we already knew about the chip in the Lite and the V2 like a year before those systems actually launched. They were in the OS the whole time. And you might say, oh, well, what if there's like a new chip that we're not seeing in the files? But it's like, there's a new hardware type. It's right there. It's like, it's all there. Development kits are mentioned in the OS. Like, the OS is very open, and you can on what was it, Switch Brew, you can, like, it's very neatly laid out, so all the information is like very I guess easily digestible. So you can kind of see how the Switch OS, what makes it tick, and all of the things that have been found in it. And like, it doesn't seem too dissimilar outside of this idea that it's suddenly more powerful, that games would just be exclusive to it, which I don't know. It is a situation where, like, I get that you don't want to say everything you know, or else it'll potentially blow your cover and the cover of the source you're working with. But it's also a situation where it's like, yeah, but you can't say that and not like explain what the fuck you're talking about. So for now, that's kind of where we're at. I think it'll be best to kind of view it as just being like a lateral upgrade. I feel like this idea of the Switch Pro being this like substantially more powerful thing is kind of silly, and also like something I kind of don't want. Like, I get it, games on the Switch could perform better, and a model with a higher clock speed on the SoC would accomplish that perfectly fine. People have made mods that get like The Witcher 3 running at a locked 60 FPS on the Switch just by, upping the clock speeds and like dipping the resolution like ever so slightly lower. Like, it is possible to get better performance and better speed out of the Switch with just like, some better performance out of the hardware. Like, there's a lot of headroom there. But this idea that like suddenly games that were unable to run on the Switch will now run seems really, really fishy. it does kind of give me flashbacks to when Xenoblade was made as like a new 3DS exclusive, and it could technically run on the old 3DS, but it just like ran really badly. But the new 3DS was also like a really substantial hardware bump. So it's that is a system that had like double the cores and double the RAM and double the clock speeds.
SNES emulation was exclusive to the new 3DS too.
Yeah, exactly.
So was Minecraft.
Yeah, so was Minecraft.
Remember how Minecraft on the new Nintendo 3DS had a bigger world size limit than the Wii U version?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's funny.
I'm not sure if this was being used as an example or was an actual part of it, but Frostbite can't work well with just 4 gigs of RAM. They'd be supposedly upping the RAM. I don't know about that because like that Plants vs. Zombies Neighborville game is based on Frostbite and is running on the Switch. And also like Frostbite's been used on like the Xbox 360, which has like a sixth of the RAM the Switch has. So I don't know about that. Like, and again, if you look in the OS, like, there's not really any information they're upping the RAM type. Granted, there is mention of a new model with 8 gigabytes listed, but that's clearly for an eDev kit and not for a new model, a new retail release, because there's like a bunch of 4 gig configurations, which makes a lot more sense. But yeah, it's very strange. The whole thing is very strange. I really wish someone more inclined with because I mean I guess the other question is who is like these sources, because like I doubt it's someone on the R&D team, so it's probably not someone who knows all the ins and outs of the hardware anyway. It's just someone down the line who's like, oh yeah, there's gonna be a new one and it's gonna be better. I'm not sure if it was the original source of the story about the exclusive games or if it was Jeff Grubb. I don't. A few people have been saying the exclusive things, but it's like not with really any like substantial information other than like, yeah, that's what I heard. So it's still a rumor. It might not end up happening. Like I don't fucking know. It's hard. It's
gonna be really funny though. That the reason there are 4 gigabytes of RAM in the Switch is because Capcom specifically requested it for their RE engine. They're finally making RE engine games, but they're much lower quality visual than on other systems. If they finally bring the game that they brought up as a specific example to the Switch because of the new hardware, that's gonna be really funny. You needed a whole new revision to bring Resident Evil 7.
Yeah, I was gonna say, watches Resident Evil 7 as a Switch Pro exclusive. Jesus Christ. The game that runs on anything. Oh my god. I mean, right now, all I can really talk about is the stuff that's been repeated verbatim. That like the OLED screen, which honestly, bring it on. OLED looks really fucking nice. The only video game thing to use an OLED screen has been
the Vita,
the original Vita, the Model 1. And I mean, that's an early OLED, so it had like weird bleed issues and stuff, but man, that screen still looks good to this day, and it's 540p. It's still a low resolution, but it looks fucking gorgeous because it's all about the brightness and the real like depth of colors.
Yeah, OLED is capable of turning off fully black pixels, which is why it has a cleaner contrast than an LED screen.
Yeah, and it's still 720p, though that is not surprising in the slightest. I don't understand how anyone would think any new Switch revision would have a higher resolution screen. Like, there's no fucking reason to. Games on the Switch already, like, don't always hit 720p in handheld mode to begin with.
Even first party, like the only first party games that stay at 720p on handheld are like
New Super Mario Brothers.
New Super Mario.
The Wii U ports. Yeah, the Wii U ports.
New Super Mario Brothers. That's kind of it.
Yeah,
I
Mario
don't know
Maker.
I don't know if Smash has dynamic resolution.
It don't.
Mario Odyssey flickers together two lower resolution images to fake 720 60 FPS, which looks quite bad and explains why I was having issues with how that game looked in portable.
But also, generally, handheld systems have always used very low resolution screens. Like, famously, the 3DS used a 240p screen, and the Vita had a 540p screen. And the simple reason is just the fact that, like, it uses less power and it uses less battery to run at a lower resolution. Like, shocker.
The 3DS is the first Nintendo Switch system to ever actually support widescreen.
Yep, it
Yeah.
sure is.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
The Wii and the GameCube and the N64, they would just like have a squished image that just be stretched out to widescreen if you flick the option on.
But yeah, the like, I wouldn't expect a 900p. I wouldn't expect a 1080p. Like, even with better performance, like, I would much rather be at a resolution that is like these games are going to run at. Like,
maybe they can get Xenoblade 2 running at 30.
Yeah, that's like, I don't know. It's so funny where it's like, well, they could have upped the resolution, and it's like, yeah, but like, you really think if they did that, like, all of these games that weren't hitting 720p before are gonna like hit 900p? Like, it's not in a handheld mode. That's not gonna how it works.
Xenoblade Definitive Edition and Xenoblade 2 have dynamic resolution that kicks in when the frame rate is going down and the load is becoming too much to bear for higher resolution. Fun fact about that, the dynamic resolution basically is always at the minimum in those games.
Yeah.
Because they're just that badly optimized.
But generally speaking, the jump to an OLED is going to be way fucking greater than if they slightly bumped up the resolution from 720p to like a 900p or a 1080p. Like it is a complete night and day difference. Like, having a better looking screen, even if it is a lower resolution, is going to look better than a higher resolution screen using like a standard screen technology. Like, that is just bona fide how it works. And there are a lot of games on, I mean, like, every game is going to look fucking better on an OLED because everything looks better on an OLED. But there are specific games, an example, that I've been playing recently, and I was like, holy shit, they're going to look so goddamn good on this screen. Metro Redux is going to look beautiful, because not only does that game already look fantastic on the regular Switch screen, because it's like, even though it runs at a lower internal resolution, it uses scaling to sharpen everything up, and it looks really crisp on the Switch handheld screen. But that is a dark game that plays a lot with light, and that's going to look really fucking good on a screen that actually has like true blacks and like, oh, and like really deep like color gamut. Like, oh, it's gonna look really fucking good.
Remember how Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition was 1080p in handheld mode?
Yeah.
And that was fucked up.
Yeah, it was fucked up. And then, yeah, the only other thing to mention is like the 4K output, which, as I said before, like, I think we'll see a couple like indie games run at 4K, because there's
probably, I'm assuming it's just gonna do what the fucking M Classic cable does.
Oh, with the scaling?
just
I
filtering.
don't think it's that. I think it's just gonna be native 4K output because even if nothing is rendering at true 4K, like a native 4K output on a 4K display will still look better than outputting like 1080p and then having your TV try to do the rest.
I guess
That like even if the Switch menu still runs at 720p, but it's like over a 4K output, it'll look better than like 720p with 1080p out, and then my TV is trying to like figure how that shit works.
Chat. I am mostly certain that it doesn't use DLSS.
It's not going to use DLSS. If it uses DLSS, I will be shocked and stunned, but it will not.
That's very experimental, and it can be problematic for certain games and cause glitches.
The fact of the matter is with DLSS is that the Switch currently uses a much older architecture of Nvidia's graphics line, and they would need a new chip with extra cores for all the AI scaling.
It will have DLSS, so that if it does, I can talk shit about it to you guys.
I mean, if it does, bravo. It's just that there's simply like nothing to imply that, like from the information we know, other than people seeing a job listing on Nvidia's website for DLSS on Tegra, which of course they're developing it for Tegra regardless.
It's their own hardware.
Yeah, it's their own hardware. They make Tegra chips all the time to put them in cars.
The thing is that never mind, I forgot what I was saying.
Oh my god. But yeah, I mean the really the only other thing to speculate on at that point is just
okay. I remember. A lot of people are throwing around DLSS because it's a hot buzzword and new technology.
Oh yeah, blast processing.
And related, and people don't actually know what that means. They don't know what it means specifically, what kind of technology it is, and they're just using it to refer to whatever scaling the Switch does on its own.
Yeah. As I said before, because like really the only piece of new hardware we're aware of is like there's just being a new 4K Realtek chip being used, but like it's totally just for video signal. Like it's not for scaling or anything. Like unless that ends up being the case, and like wow, who could have seen this coming? But most of the people who do the data mining, there's like two people who really do like the Switch OS data mining, and one of them is very certain that it'll be in the dock, and the other is kind of like half and half.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it would need a new dock regardless if it's going to have a 4K output. So that's just like the obvious answer.
Okay, no. Okay, never mind. It's sarcasm.
Yeah, it's sarcasm.
Somebody brought up ray tracing.
Oh no!
It's like, no.
Oh my god. The only other thing we can really speculate about it is just like better performance, and that's, I mean, there you go. That's really.
Maybe we'll finally be able to play Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity at 560p 30 FPS.
There you go.
Woo.
Stability, am I right, gamers? That's improved stability. That'd be great if that was the selling point. They're like, new screen, new dock, 4K output, improved stability. Everyone's just like, what? New profile pictures. Like,
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to be like a revision or if it's actually going to be a pro model that's more powerful.
It's a little weird too, because
I hope it's not a pro model.
Yeah,
because then I'll just be pissed off that I bought an original Switch and I've been complaining about performance in almost every single game.
Yeah, I think better performance is definitely like on the table, and I understand why the original Switch was underclocked because handheld.
We have a resident staff member whose Switch fans melt while they play games in dots.
Oh my god!
Like no, his Switch fans don't even work. His Switch is just heating up to the point where it turns itself off.
Oh my god!
And like it's the chips are underclocked in the Switch, so they don't generate that much heat.
I don't even know who that is.
Actually, Phantom's Switch. The fans are broken, so it cannot properly vent its heat, and electronics get very hot. And they don't want it to get so hot that it burns people's hands and causes them to have to do another thing they did with the fucking N64 controller. Where they had to literally send anybody who wanted them gloves.
Yeah, but that's like...
their hands.
Yeah, but like... Some consoles are gonna like break regardless. It's not like it's a widespread issue. It's just like one like anecdotal.
Yeah. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, there he is. There's Phantom. But yeah, like I understand why it was underclocked. I understand like that's just how you make a portable. It's just how you make a handheld. You don't even like the Vita and the 3DS weren't at full capacity at like any given moment because it's like that's just a battery drain.
Also, they need space for the OS.
Yeah,
like always being in there. Otherwise, you have a situation like Breath of the Wild on the Wii U where the OS isn't there.
Hey,
and it unloads it every time you. It like diverts all of its resources to running Breath of the Wild, and whenever you go to the home menu and go back, it has to reload everything for 30 seconds.
Love the Wii U.
But
like, I mean, like of course, like you then see people online, and they're like, "Well, my phone has like a 1440p screen. Like, what the fuck?" And it's like, yeah, because it's a phone. Like all your like okay, I'm gonna do something that everyone hates, but like fuck you, it's the truth. Hey, remember when it was found out that Apple downclocks the processor on your iPhone if your battery life is getting really, really shit? And I mean, it was shitty of them to not tell anyone about it, to not disclose it, though getting a new battery fixes the issue anyway. But let's be real. They can get away with doing stuff like that. They can get away with your screen having a higher resolution because your phone is a phone. It's not playing Doom Eternal. It's playing Twitter and Facebook and maybe the super like visually downgraded, less technically impressive version of Fortnite. Like that's how these things work. Also, your phone is $1,200 and not $300.
My phone heats up playing just about any video game. So imagine that kind of like space heater.
Yeah.
But your Nintendo Switch is that everywhere.
Like phones and
phones is not a really good comparison because most people aren't actually paying the market price for those phones. They're getting them through contracts with their provider.
But it also just simply comes down to the fact that devices made for gaming and just general mobile devices are built incredibly different. They do very different things. They're handled in very different ways. There's a reason why like an MP3 player running Android will last like 30 times longer than like any other device running Android, because it only has to do so many functions. It's not constantly like checking for a cellular connection. It's not constantly like waiting on Facebook notifications. Like, no, all it's got to do is play a FLAC file every now and then. Like, it's that, like, that is just generally how electronics. Meanwhile, something like the Switch, a gaming machine, has to be ready to go from 0 to 100 in any moment. So they have to specifically build it, and then on top of that, they got to make sure it's cheap. They got to make sure people can actually buy it.
Price is a big deal breaker for a lot of people. The PlayStation 5 in Japan is selling terribly because of the price, and they don't want to lose that market because they just got Japan back with the Switch. They're sky high, higher than the past 2 console generations with the Switch right now. They don't want to lose them immediately.
I think it says a lot that really the only
I don't know
devices
if they are in any real threat of losing it to PS5 in either case. No, I mean, I guess that's the reason behind it.
Not losing it to a competitor, just losing people because, this new Switch, it's way more expensive than the other one. And you have to get it to play Splatoon 4 or some shit.
And just, like, I think it says a lot that the only devices on the market that are even, like, comparable to the Switch, not just, like, in terms of power, but also in, like, just like form factor, are like weird Chinese like pocket PCs. And even then those are like $800, $900, $1,000 because they're full-fledged like computers. They run Intel chips, they have like keyboards, they have like all of this other stuff because they have to run like they have to license all of these electronics, and they have to like run Windows, and they have to do like all this crazy shit. For what the Switch is, it's really good.
The pricing on the Switch is really good, and that's proven by how many people are buying it.
Yeah.
Remember the 3DS? Remember the 3DS?
Yeah, it was $250. It was $250 at first,
and then they had to slice that by like $70.
Yeah.
And issue a public apology and give people free ROM files for their 3DS.
No, they cut it by $80.
Oh, it's $80
because they went from
those ambassador games were so fucking.
Wasn't it?
Like,
wasn't it from?
They never updated them to actually work properly. It like booted up in like a weird Game Boy Advance mode.
Yeah. There's like hardware in the 3DS for GBA because the DS had it. And it has the DS hardware in there too, but it doesn't quite run right. And they didn't give a shit. They just gave you the ROM files and just booted up this function that they thought they'd never use.
But yeah, like as far as them releasing a new Switch model, like I'm pretty on board with it regardless because I've had my Switch for like 4 years. By the time this thing releases, it'll probably be 5 years, and I feel like that's a good amount of time to release a sort of like kind of lateral upgrade. But I do like, and I of course, like when it comes to buying a new electronic, I would hope there's like a lot of like nice quality of life improvements. I think an OLED, like honestly, I think an OLED screen and just the thing running faster is like good enough for me. Like, cause then it's just a better version of the thing I own, and it's not like this like substantial like obsolescence.
Isn't the Switch right now $300?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Chat was like, I want the new Switch to be $300, and it's like if it's gonna be an upgrade, it's not going to be the same price.
I think it'll be the same price. I like the Switch has been on the market for so long that all of its respective parts are cheaper.
And I feel like the breaking point for price is literally like $50 more than what the Switch is already at. Which if they up it to that might be too much.
Well, here comes my next question
because going to get a price drop.
But here's here's my question is like, because my theory is that they're gonna do what they did with the Switch V1 to the V2, where like they just stop selling the version 1 model, and like this is like the new model going forward. which makes sense, because if it's using the same chip, if it's using a lot of the same internals, it's just using newer iterations that run a little bit better, that like do a bit more. Like it makes sense that it's like not like internally substantially different from a production standpoint, because I mean that's like half of the reason why they made the V2 and the Lite in the first place, is the chip, the new chip, the Marico chip, is a shrunken die, which means it's not just more efficient, but it's a lot cheaper to produce. And naturally, the more you produce things, the cheaper you're going to get. Honestly, I'll be surprised if this new Switch has a different form factor. I think it's going to reuse a lot of the same components. I think it's going to use... What?
It can't have a different form factor.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's going to have a very... I think the dock will probably look the same, just will have different guts. I think, like...
It does look different, but the actual unit has to be the same format. It has to be the same size.
I think what they're going to do, like, no joke, is I think they're going to do a new 3DS situation, and it's like, this is when they start producing the Switch in, like, colors to differentiate it from the older models, to also pair with, like, the newer, larger screen, because now there's, like, not that much bezel. They can do colors without it looking really awkward.
Yeah.
Because even that red Mario Switch still has, like, the big black bezel around the display.
Yeah, the rumor is like a 7-inch display, which would fill up the whole thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. The people, certain YouTube channels, Game Explain, I guess seem to forget that, like, screens are measured diagonally, not across. So the Switch going from like a 6.2 to a 7-inch, it makes sense that it's just like the screen is going to take up more real estate on the plastic.
The empty space that was already there.
Yeah,
the only question is the sunlight sensor. How will that work now?
They'll put it under the screen.
Oh yeah, that's what phones have.
Yeah, exactly. They can just do that.
Yeah. Now there's no questions. It's just gonna fill up the empty space.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. We'll see, because there's also like speakers they gotta work around. But yeah, it's not. It's like, I don't think the thing will be completely bezel-less, but there's gonna be significantly less.
Yeah.
But
what if the speakers are on the bottom?
Oh no! Oh no!
Because that's what they did with the 2DS XL. Yeah. Oh, that would be bad.
But yeah, I mean, I think this is just gonna replace the current Switch, just because like it'll be at the very like at a very basic sense. I don't see a reason why it wouldn't, unless they really do just go, fuck it, it's more expensive. But then at that point, I also have to...
I want to interject real quick.
Yeah.
I haven't been talking much because I just got to the final boss on that game that I was talking about earlier.
Oh my God.
So it's very exciting. I'm going to put my Switch to the side now, and then I will do that once we're done here.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, Switch Pro, keep going.
Okay. I mean, but what about the Switch Lite? Like, that can't be like... It's so weird, because I feel like the obvious answer would be like, well, then they just do a Switch Lite Pro. You know, they did the new 2DS XL. And it's like, oof. I guess, I don't know, but I don't think it works on the same scale, because the whole point of the 2DS was like, it's $70.
They were still selling the 2DS. They phased out the original 3DS.
Yeah.
Which means that they could still just be selling the original Switch Lite, but not selling the original Switch anymore.
I know, but what I'm getting at is that, like, if it's such a substantial boost in terms of, because I like the new 3DS didn't really completely make the 3DS itself obsolete, because only so many games, and I guess that's just the general argument for the Switch Pro, is like there's maybe potentially no reason to be so doom and gloom, because it might be possible that the exclusivity and like the enhancements are only for a certain amount of games. But I don't know. I feel like with a console like the Switch that has already sold like nearly 80 million units, like something at the very least kind of like rubs me the wrong way, just in regards of like, I really hope they don't just like make these older models like completely unusable, especially considering how much more expensive they cost than like the 3DS did.
Colin,
Yeah,
we're talking about Nintendo.
I know.
They made the Wii U.
I think it was Jeff Grubb who said that Nvidia is actually interested in adding DLSS into the Switch before AMD gets it in the PS5 and Series X. That's not how that works. DLSS is an Nvidia technology. AMD doesn't make DLSS. It's not.
They literally can't have DLSS.
Yeah. The new 3DS did not stop the 2DS. I mean, like, true, but like there definitely was a shift towards games just like you have shit like Hyrule Warriors on the regular 3DS where you're like, that's completely unplayable.
The new 3DS caused the old 3DS to stop being made.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But the 2DS stayed around, which is the point that I'm making. This cheaper, like this cheaper model with less features stays around because it's cheaper, it's money for them, and then they just phase out the actual console.
Yeah, I'm just saying my
new games made for the newer hardware run like shit or not at all on the old hardware.
But as I said, my thing is that these consoles just cost so much more that it's like I don't know if it works on the same scale. I mean, I guess it could, but it's like at this point I kind of hope they don't. But yeah.
Do you remember how Hyrule Warriors Legends ran on the original model?
That's what I mentioned that.
We brought that up. Do you know that Age of Calamity has the same performance profile as that version?
Okay.
Phantom played Doom for the first time yesterday. Like, what Doom? Like,
the
OG
first one,
PC Doom
the first one on Switch. I was there.
Has he played any other Dooms before?
No, he doesn't play shooters.
I've never played a Doom.
Oh my god!
Doom was my first experience with ever having just kind of a highly moddable game.
Is it on sale right now? It's like $1. It's like $1 on the Switch.
There are two games called Doom.
He's talking about the first one. I was there.
The original PC? Oh, okay, you were there.
Yeah,
okay.
He was talking about the Switch port of the first video game.
The Switch port that was bad but is now good.
Now it's really good. It has mod support.
Oh.
Go buy it for $1, PizzaDudeManGuy.
Okay, is not currently on sale, but it's like its asking price is still $5. Like it is, you might have at least most of the Nintendo funny money to play it.
I'm spending a lot of those on me costumes. So
there was one more thing that happened this week that we haven't talked about yet.
Oh yeah.
The New Game Plus Expo.
Oh yeah.
They announced limited run game runs of No More Heroes Switch ports.
I feel like I'm already pissing off
more than the digital versions, and then $70 each for limited editions. And
I feel like
listen.
I feel like I've stepped on enough toes today with this live stream that I can't go into my I don't like limited run shtick. I don't know if the internet's ready for that.
Okay, so I get the physical needing to be more expensive, but the thing about limited run games is that once their run is over, they shoot up by the people who scalped them, and that's why Shantae and the Pirate's Curse on the Switch goes for like $300 now.
Oh my god, Limited Run distributes a $350 collector's edition of Detroit Become Human for the PC. And it comes with a 10-inch statue of Kara. Oh my fucking god.
Oh no, Kara! Oh no!
I can't believe you can get a figure of android Jennifer Lawrence.
You can buy the person whose story is literally about how they don't want to be property. Oh my god!
So, anyways, you guys
David
also
Cage.
there was another thing that happened this week that you don't want to talk about, and that's Smash stuff. However,
a new character
caveat. Yeah, we can talk. We'll talk about that a little bit, but next week is going to be kind of a very Smash heavy episode. We're going to let we're going to let everything breathe a little bit. So don't worry, you'll get a lot of Smash now, but especially because PizzaManGuy is here and he won't be here next week. We'll talk about it a little bit because I think that'll be fun and I think you guys want to hear about it. And yeah, Pyra and Mithra are great. They're really, really fun to play as. Might be my favorite DLC, and I'm not even like Xenoblade 2 is not my favorite game or anything. They're just their play style and their stage and the music selection, like it's good stuff.
I've never played Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but Pyra and Mithra as Smash characters are probably one of, if not my favorite, like new DLC fighters to play as. Because I don't know, I'm more into those types of characters that are, quick and simple, classic Smash Brothers characters, rather than something with a lot of gimmicks. I cannot stand playing as Steve in Smash Brothers.
Yeah, Steve is very counterintuitive. I'm glad he's there.
The chat has spoken. Save Smash for next week. The chat has spoken. Hey, Matt. You know what's
PizzaDudeManGuy say something?
Hey, Matt. You know what's? Wait, hang on. Hey, Matt. You know what's bullshit?
What?
I was literally talking to someone last week. Because they were trying to buy the CD of No More Heroes 2's soundtrack. And that had a very limited 1,000 copy run in Japan, and then they never produced it again.
Did they buy it?
No, they didn't.
Oh god.
But
well,
what makes it worse
it's in the limited edition, right?
they're reprinting the soundtrack on a CD, but you have to buy the fucking $70 collector's edition to get it.
Listen, I reviewed No More Heroes for the Switch and No More Heroes 2. What I did not say in that review, because I didn't want to piss people off, but they won't watch this video because it's a fucking 3-hour-long live stream, is that No More Heroes 2 is bad. And I basically said that without saying the actual phrase that it's bad, but it's not worth $20.
It's not worth $80.
$35, and it's no way in hell worth $70.
Yeah. PizzaDudeManGuy, what do you feel about selling FOMO in the under the guise of preservation?
You cut out first.
Oh, sorry. There. Oh, how do you feel about selling FOMO under the guise of preservation?
What's a FOMO?
Fear of missing out.
Okay, what's how do I feel about
for instance, I haven't bought the Mario 3D collection because I own those games and I don't care, but a lot of people even I felt pressured to buy it because it'll be gone, so they fear of missing out.
It's sold 6 million copies.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it because if I ever want to buy it, I'm sure it's going to be pretty plentiful in the physical and secondhand market forever. So,
I mean, I bought Mario 3D All Stars right away because I was like, oh, I want to make sure I get this.
Yeah.
And then I went to my Walmart the other day and it had like a massive stack of them still. I'm like,
yeah, they've been going on sale. Yeah. Is that a discount?
I knew that was going to happen because if
it's Mario,
I was going to say the bullshit about it to me
pop out of existence at the end of the month.
The bullshit about it to me is the digital going off. That's really
bullshit.
However, but when you think about it, every game has a limited run. Games don't get printed forever.
Sure.
But when we think of limited runs, it's usually because it's a smaller run. I mean, this is still going to be like Nintendo's going to print like 10 million at least of these, because that's what Nintendo does. So,
listen,
yeah.
March 31st, Furukawa is going to go. Oh, fuck! I can't snap. He's just gonna snap, and every copy of the game is gone.
It's
Gone.
explode.
Only half of them though. Only half of them. They have that.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
They'll do that forced scarcity. Oh my god.
I am inevitable.
Oh god. Yeah. I mean, I've said it on Twitter. I don't really like Limited Run as a company. I liked them early on when they were just making like, hey yo, it's door kickers on the Vita. We're just gonna make like 5,000 of these because who cares, you know? But now it's like, hey, beloved indie classic that would probably just get a full physical release. Like, isn't No More Heroes 3 being published by fucking like Rising Star Games?
Is it?
I have no clue.
What is
Rising Star did the PAL releases of the first 2 games. I do not know about 3. I'm gonna go check that.
Here we go. You're gonna find out. Because like if they can do like a physical for fucking Deadly Premonition 1, then like what why can't they just do a physical for No More Heroes 1 and 2? Remember when Limited Run
a good service that gets commodified and maximized for profit. That's how things work. Keep up, kids.
Nintendo is handling physicals of No More Heroes 3. Okay.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah,
but maybe they will. I heard we heard kind of that they did that for Travis Strikes Again, but we have no official confirmation that they actually did that. And the publisher is just listed as Grasshopper Manufacturer, so we have no clue what's going on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing about Rising Star Games. I don't know where you got that from.
Oh, I must have confused it for a different.
Maybe you got it confused with Deadly Premonition 2.
No, I feel like there was another developer who like slapped their publishing on like Travis Strikes Again or something.
I don't know. But yeah, the chat brought up Hades getting a physical release, and that's from
Nintendo.
That's not a limited run.
Yeah,
it's a beloved indie game. It got a regular ass physical release. Why can't more things be
here's my question. Here's my question about Limited Run. Here is my general question. They have a partnership with Best Buy. They presumably make the deals to make these physical copies long before they actually put them up for pre-order. Like they're going to be making like a longer run of these games at Best Buy anyway. So like why not put these games out in Best Buy on release of these digital releases? Why wait? When did they announce these No More Heroes ports? Like when did they release? What was that, like October?
September.
Yeah, like why wait so fucking long? I don't get it, because it's like
I think some of it is if a game isn't. I think a game has to reach a certain threshold. Maybe.
No, they don't.
Also, actually, I'll tell you exactly why.
No. I know why.
Fine.
I know why.
Oh my god.
It is because the games needed to be patched.
Oh god, you're right. Oh fuck.
They got patched just last week.
I hate that. I think in general, so much.
I think in general, the reason to release a physical release of a game that's going to get most of its sales on a digital format later on is the same reason that Activision releases Switch games, Switch ports so much after the PS4 and Xbox ones, because they want people to double dip.
Yeah.
Because you got Hades digitally on sale and you think it's super great and it's your favorite game now. Oh shit! Now it's physical. Let's buy the physical one.
But it sucks ass when they do it with something like River City Girls or Scott Pilgrim, where the pre-order period for those games goes up before the game comes out, but like you're not guaranteed to get a copy until like 4 or 5 months after the game comes out on the eShop anyway.
Yeah,
it seems so fucking stupid. It seems like
that.
a waste of time. And most of it is just because of this like paranoia of like, better buy it now or else the eShop will go down in 20 years and you'll never be able to play these games that totally haven't already been pirated at this point because it's the Switch. But
do you want to know a secret? I can still play Scott Pilgrim on my Xbox 360 whenever I want.
It's like
right?
it's fully playable in the PS3 emulator.
Like my Xbox hard drive's still perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Didn't they try to stealthily delist that?
What?
I don't know. I still have it downloaded, so I haven't tried.
Like they tried to stealthily like remove the ability to re-download it.
No.
Okay.
You've been able to re-download it the whole time.
That was a different game then, but there was one company that did a re-release of a highly regarded game that tried to that was fucking Bethesda.
Yeah, it was Doom 3.
Oh.
It was Doom 3.
Yeah, just keep in mind that you don't own any of your digital games, and whatever service that they're on can remove your ability to re-download them at any time.
Yeah, but also remember that, like, morally gray methods are going to actually preserve these things better in the long run than physical copies. Just saying.
Yeah,
TBH.
There's this thought process, right? That this Blu-ray I'm holding here is going to last forever, and it won't. Physical media degrades. Yeah, the only way things are really going to be preserved, is by dumping the code.
The Switch cartridges are Switch cartridges are not like NES carts where like a rare prototype of a game is on like a single cartridge and needs to be dumped. Like it's not how that works. Like it's like if there's like one copy of it already backed up, like there you go. And like usually all the updates follow anyway. Don't pirate, but I'm just saying there will be a point where it becomes basically there's going to be a point where the actual nightmare scenario happens, and it's going to be so far out into the future. We've had this discussion before, but it's like it's going to happen so far out from now that it will be trivial. It will be extremely trivial. It will be like it would be the same as like I'm going to download a ROM of GoldenEye for my N64, like download a ROM of GoldenEye for my N64. Like who gives a shit? It's like a 20-year-old game. They don't sell it anymore. There's like literally no revenue going to anyone.
There's this really weird thought that I always find fascinating, that they're like, pirating. I'd rather just buy it. I'm all like, you buying a copy of Earthbound for $200 or whatever. I don't even know how much that game goes for anymore.
Somewhere around that ball.
Yeah, is netting Nintendo the same amount of money as you pirating it.
Yeah.
Like if you want to, you can go buy it on the Wii U eShop, but there's a lot of games that aren't available for purchase because of weird licensing and other issues. And buying an old game is, if you collect just because it's something you like and you either display them or you just like
that's different. That's a different motive.
Exactly. That's fine. But like if you're getting,
just because I want to play it.
Exactly. I am not.
You can buy an EverDrive and it literally is going to play exactly the same as a physical cart. No difference.
The whole like preservation argument is very silly when you consider Limited Run as a company that sells like a physical copy of Doom 64, a game that is $5 on the eShop for $30 fucking dollars, like almost a year after that game came out. And also it's Doom 64. Like you have to be joking. Like that you are like I'm a huge fucking Doom fan, but like you cannot convince me that is like worth it in any regard other than just to have a collectible that you are essentially buying as if it's stocks, because you know the price is gonna rise in a year.
Yeah, or I mean, the other thing is, or people just like the act of collecting, which is fine. Like,
Yeah, that's fine.
You know, you could do that for fucking anything, for stamps, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
I
whatever.
like to get them all.
I own weird Beatles bootlegs that I could just download off of SoulSeek, but like
Yeah,
whatever,
exactly.
it's
But
cool.
It's cool to have a physical copy of it.
Yeah,
That's fine. But like, but when people, I don't know, I just have I've come in across so many people in the retro gaming kind of community that they're just so high and mighty about it, and I'm all like, man, it's there's let people play games how they want to play them, and at a point, I'll buy the Castlevania collection from Konami because I like those games, and they are emulated well, they're convenient, they're on my Switch, I can play them handheld. And I like supporting the developer of those games, even if the actual developers are no longer there, because then maybe they'll make other games that I like, you know.
So we're past the 2-hour mark, but
Yeah.
I want to ask, I want to pose one more question, because I was thinking about this a few weeks ago, and I genuinely think this is how you solve the problem, and the answer is we gotta start like treating game stores like they're record shops. I think
we had this conversation.
Yeah, because we had a similar. Yes, do we need to bring up the High Fidelity Game Store remake again? But you walk into a record store, and they're doing just fine. Like think of it this way: isn't it crazy that you can go into a record store and like, if you're looking for a vinyl record copy of Who's Next, an album that is like considered one of the best of all times, and it's 50 years. Yeah,
Sorry,
and it's like it's 50 years old, but you can go into a record store and you can buy like an original vintage print of it for $4. Because if you turn around and you go to the new section, they'll have a brand new reissue for like $20. And like, the question is that how we should be treating these older games? Should we, because it's kind of crazy to me to think about how like the music industry is shit, don't get me wrong, but like a lot of these big music groups, like, they don't do the same bullshit that like film distributors or even video game companies do. They are fully on board re-releasing new music at the drop of a hat.
I think, and I guess I'll start because I interjected.
Yeah.
I think that the difference when it comes to both movies and but especially video games as compared to music are the amount of hands that are involved.
Of course.
Usually, yeah. And even more than that is intellectual property and intellectual property laws and licenses.
Yeah.
The classic example is GoldenEye. That can't be re-released at any time.
Of course.
And if it did, it would have to be at a high price point in order for all of the license holders to get a piece of that. So it's a little bit more complicated, but when it comes to things like, and the other thing is too, the Nintendo will re-release Super Mario Brothers on a watch, on a calculator, on a toaster, like, you know, on anything. But the thing is, there's one media standard that audiophiles tend to gravitate to, right? Which are the records.
Yeah.
For games, you'd have to print, you know, everything from Atari 2600 to Master System to NES to... When you get to optical, no, that's different because a CD and there's a CD for the most part. Screw the GameCube. But but when it comes to cartridge-based systems, you know, from your Super Nintendo to your Neo Geo, they're all different, and you would have to set up factories to print out those specific chipsets, those plastic casings, those molds. So I think there's more, even just when it comes to the production side.
Yeah.
So,
porting a game requires making it work on newer hardware, which is not something you really need to do for music
Not
these
in the same
days,
way, no.
or movies. Yeah,
but I mean, with movies, there's like you gotta rescan the print, and which is already like similar to music because you also have to like rescan the original master tapes, and you gotta remaster them and
yes, of course.
re-EQ. But it's but what I'm saying is it's less to do with the actual process of doing it. Like I'm not saying like why don't they just start making like NES cartridges again, or at least why don't they start making them in like on a wide scale. But what I am asking is if we do have companies that are willing to make these fairly niche products that people do want. Limited Run does NES reprints. Like you have companies like Analog that are making like effectively new NESs and Super Nintendos and Genesises. What I'm saying is that at the very least, I think a wider availability of these things, even if not at a producing by the millions, but even on a smaller scale, like think of something like Record Store Day, where they'll make 10,000 copies of an album, which is like small, but it's enough for the insane niche group of people who would really want it to all get a copy, and then they kind of fuck off. And you have to like physically go to, it's not like you have to rush online and grab them, it's just you go to your local store and they'll have like 5 copies. Like something like that I think could be greatly beneficial for a lot of games, and I think would both sort of even out the market of older games. Of course not with certain games that are like rare and licensed and will never come back ever again, but just generally in terms of like we wouldn't have to have then this discussion of like, yeah, well, piracy is a better preservation method, and like, oh, but like I think like the idea is just options.
I mean, I don't disagree with you, and I think we've seen that more and more with, like I said, with ports and collections of games and things like that. And really, I feel like people make a big deal about original hardware, but when it comes to anything from the 16-bit era to before, emulation is pretty spot on. You might get some.
No, of course.
Yeah. But you know, I don't know. I don't know. I'd like to see something like that. I don't know if the market supports it on a large enough scale for that to be really viable.
The biggest problem with re-releasing games that I've been trying to get to is that hardware is evolving at such a rapid rate that features in hardware that were used to make games possible no longer exist, which makes them really hard to re-release without making it worse or not true to the original product. Now that doesn't mean companies don't care about doing that. I mean, the Devil May Cry HD ports are pretty fucking awful, and they keep really releasing them, and there's just less of an incentive for them to do it because they don't make as much money doing it. And they can just make new stuff instead.
I'm just curious to see, even on a smaller sense, like on a smaller scale, how it would go. Like if just like, because we can sit here and say like it's not sustainable, but at the same time, you can go on AliExpress and like some guy in his basement will make you a brand new SNES cart of Earthbound for $5, because the hardware to make a SNES cart is like nothing now.
Right.
It's real, like they can mass produce those things very cheaply for nothing. And let's be like, so I say that, and it's like, imagine if in 2 weeks or whatever, there's like a Zelda Direct, and Nintendo goes, hey yo, fuck it. You can buy a brand new NES Zelda 1 gold cart, and it's $30. Because to them, internally...
I already own one.
What?
I said I already own one.
I know, but I'm just saying, because internally, it would only cost them like $1 a cart to make. Like they would be making like $20 back on like every single print.
Right.
And if they just said, yeah, we're going to throw them in GameStop for a few weeks, they'd make that money back instantly. And that's what I'm more referring to, is like, not like, yeah, we should be able to go into a Best Buy and they'll just have rows of Metal Gear for the NES, you know. But it's like, you know, like if Nintendo were to do something like that with like a Super Mario Brothers, even not on a wide scale, that shit would make their money back almost instantly.
Oh, absolutely.
They have done similar things.
Yeah.
Like they made, what was it? New GameCube controllers.
Yeah.
And those made bank, even though they're kind of not that expensive to make.
Yeah. And that's just generally, I mean, like, fucking Capcom, Capcom was selling like a $100 Street Fighter 2 SNES cart like a couple of years ago, even though it was like very
anniversary. They released,
even though it's
Street
very
Fighter 2.
clearly like a cheapo like AliExpress cart repackaged, they still charged a whopping $100 for that shit. Like companies are like it seems like, to me, it really wouldn't be that big of a you know, like, it seems like it'd be very hands off, and it would be something that, like, I think would just do well on the basis of like people just being either weird collectors to begin with, which is like half of what like stuff like Record Store Day is about anyway, but also just in regards to you know, just in regards to like people just would want, like, you know, kids would just be like, fuck it, I want a gold NES cart and I don't want to go to a weird crusty retro game shop and pay like $60 for it. Look at the Yakuza games. Suddenly Sega just goes, fuck it, here's Yakuza 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here they are. Just like we've had them the whole time, and the entire market on used copies of Yakuza 1 through 4 dropped like a rock.
They literally also, like, Sega and Capcom were notorious for reprinting games that became hard to go after. Like Ace Attorney games would go really high, and then suddenly it'd be like, "Hey guys, we got brand new ones for much cheaper."
Exactly. Even Square still has on their store, I'm pretty sure, like the PS1 greatest hits versions of like Chrono Cross and Final Fantasy Legends.
They do.
I don't know. I would really, I think just generally having more options is a greater thing. And like you can still do the limited run stuff. I just want it to be more widely available. I want it to be more timely. I want it to be more.
I'd be much less opposed to limited run if it wasn't one and done.
Yeah, exactly.
Like maybe they'd be on like yearly cycles or some stuff. You would always have the possibility of getting it later down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's.
I don't want to pay $300 for Shantae and the Pirate's Curse
Yeah.
lesson.
I guess that's a good place to end on.
Yeah. I have things to do.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you all for joining us on this very long-winded episode.
We got a completely unrelated tangent that we didn't plan on doing for the last 30 minutes. You know, just like every week.
It's not a good morning source gaming if we don't talk about secondhand games or The Last of Us.
I'm pretty sure
it's not a good morning source gaming if we don't go off topic for like at least 30 minutes.
But you know what? Episode. You know what? People tell me all the goddamn time that that's the favorite thing about this show. Is we just talk about stuff.
Yeah.
And we're clearly having a discussion on something that we truly care about.
Yeah,
I mean,
And that is important.
that has to be the favorite thing if it's the only thing.
Yeah,
oh my
exactly.
god, they're doing a second print. They're doing a second print of a limited run game. Oh no, it's happening. Well, oh yes, it's happening. I don't know. I don't know what to feel about this.
Valhalla is coming out of the limited run vault.
All right, guys,
God
let's go.
damn.
I gotta beat this game so that I can record something else.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, have a
Have
good.
a good
Oh
one.
wait. Shout out your stuff, Dude Man Pizza Boy.
I used to make videos about a year ago. I have a YouTube channel if you want to see Smash Brothers ideas was the main thing I did there. PizzaDudeManGuy. Sometimes I post things on Twitter. Thank you for having me as a guest.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm sorry if you thought we were going to talk about Smash. We were like almost done. I'm like, oh man, I wonder if he thought he was
If
going
I was expecting that, no, I never come in expecting.
Oh, Rivers
that.
was memeing. Rivers was memeing.
Oh, you said that as a joke. Okay.
You got duped. You got debated.
Yeah, I can't believe they tricked me into being a guest again. Luigi's Mansion. I thought we were doing Smash.
We were doing Scare Scraper all day, every day.
Listen,
we should
I
totally do
believe
that.
most anything I read on the internet.
Oh my
You
god.
gotta be
All
you gotta
right.
be careful with me.
All right.